Hi everyone, it's Adela here from Boss Women, and I have the lovely Claire with us today. Claire, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do and about your background?
Sure, yeah. I'm Claire. I am a communications professional. I'm based in the Midlands and I run my own communications consultancy. It's called the Comms Loop, and it basically is everything communications. It's integrated communication services. So I cover internal communications, external communications. Of course, within that, you've got PR, social media, and stakeholder communications. I also do copywriting and community kind of services, so CSR and social value. So lots going on, and it's something that I've been doing for about a year now, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Secondly, though, to that, actually more importantly to that, I am also a new mum. So I have a 10-week-old son called Jack, who is taking up a lot of my time at the moment. But yeah, so two roles at the moment, let's say.
That's excellent, Claire. Thank you for that. Yeah, and congratulations on being a
Thank
new mum,
you.
which it must be amazing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. It's a job that nobody can even compare until you do it. But yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Oh, excellent. Just enjoy it while they're little, that's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So you said that you started, I mean, it's very interesting what you said about you deal with all types of communication. So what made you start your business and when did you start your business? You said it was about a year ago.
Yeah, so it's something that I've always wanted to do. It was a long-term goal of mine right from kind of the beginning of my career, I guess. But I kind of got stuck in the corporate world, and I never really had the chance or the financial backing really to set up on my own. And it was a big risk, as you know, your viewers will know. So it had to be the right time for me, and that kind of came along about just over a year ago, and the company I was working for had a bit of a reshuffle, and I was looking at quite a long commute, a daily commute to a different area, and it just wasn't something that I wanted to do, and it wasn't something that I thought would fit with my life. So I sadly took redundancy, but actually it was the best thing I ever did. It gave me the chance to live out my dream, to give my business a go. And I thought, you know what, it's now or never. I'm not getting any younger. And while I'm still got, the drive and the energy to do it, I wanted to get on with it and do it. So yeah, press the button on register and haven't looked back since.
Oh, excellent. That's the way to do it as well. And so you started your business a year ago. So that was in what was it March last year? Or was it like beginning of last year then?
Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
beginning of March, the end of Feb, beginning of March. So literally just before lockdown. So COVID was obviously, in the news and around and about. But yeah, lockdown happened just a couple of weeks after I registered, which was scary. It was scary, to be honest. It was unknown, and I had to act quickly and think quickly to amend my business plan and work out what I was going to do and how I was going to even launch the business. I thought long and hard about that bit because it was something that I really wanted to get right. And although I had a big launch planned, it didn't seem right to do it at the time because there was a lot of people who were being furloughed, there's people who had job losses, not to mention, the high numbers of COVID cases and sadly all of the resulting deaths as well. So it was something that I really wanted to be sensitive about. So I took the decision to not do a big launch and softly launched it on social media. Mainly to my network with, but I had to change the way that I approach things. So I decided to actually offer my services up to small businesses who were going through changes of their own during COVID for free. I wanted to be able to support small companies who didn't have corporate communication teams. The larger companies would have been, throwing out all their communications, their customer and client communications. But smaller companies just weren't practiced in that, and it's particularly around kind of crisis communications and how to deal with that. So and I put out a bit of a kind of communication on social media, and went to all my local councils and authorities and just said, you know what, this service is here if anybody needs it. I actually didn't get a massive uptake. I thought I would be inundated, but I wasn't. However, the businesses that did get in touch with me, who I worked with through that period, actually led to future work, which has been absolutely fantastic. One of which I've worked with literally from the start, and to see their business transform through COVID, and to see what they've done and how they've adapted and the resilience they've shown has been absolutely amazing. I've just done their colleague engagement survey, actually their annual one, and their colleague engagement score has gone up throughout all of this that's happened. It's gone up. So we must be doing the right thing, and focusing on their colleagues was generally the right thing to do through COVID. So yeah, it's been an experience, let's say.
And that's the way to start a business, because because other people who have maybe started in normal times, I should say, they've kind of had they've not had it so tough, I should say. Whereas, because who knew this whole thing was going to start, you've had to adapt and change your own business plan, and then you've gone out of your way and helped other people as well. So in terms of like helping businesses, then how have you done that, in terms of like what tips would you give to them in terms of kind of, and you mentioned social media as well, how you've helped them with that as well. So what kind of tips did you give them, or would you give in those kind of areas to kind of try and turn their business around?
Yeah, so particularly one of the businesses that I was just talking about there, with them, I worked with them to assess their own business plan. So it wasn't even necessarily around communication, but obviously out the back of that, it led to it. So, every business has had to adapt through this change. Some have adapted really quickly and taken advantage of certain things, whether that's new technology, virtual communication, however that might be. And some haven't. And there's a question, will some of those businesses actually move forward, or will they get left behind if they haven't taken advantage? I genuinely believe that, my child and, teenagers nowadays, when they learn about business management at school and at university, this is going to be a really pivotal time to learn about, because this has changed the way businesses operate completely. I mean, down to restaurant serving takeaway, or, I've got a local company that make gin, who actually stopped production of gin and started making hand sanitizer with the ingredients that they had, because they could, and there was a shortage. So, businesses are adapting really quickly to this, which is great to see. So the company that I worked with, we looked at their business plan. We looked at actually how did they need to adapt and change the way they do things, and actually were their clients changing, and did they need to change on the back of it as well? So did quite a big piece of work on that with them, which led to us relooking at their brands, what they stood for, their values, their behaviours, and that was externally and internally. New brand, new website, which we launched, and was a great success. New ways of communicating with their colleagues, because they had a lot of remote workers. So that changed exactly how they did everything, how they engaged with them. You can't get people in a room, you can't go and do a team building event, although new things are coming online all the time, which is great. But yeah, so we really had to look at what they were doing and how they did it. So I think the biggest tip would be start at the beginning. Go back to your basics, have a look. Does my website stand up to what I need it to be? Are my social media platforms still relevant? Is the content that I'm putting out there still good enough for my followers? Is the news throwing out topical things that I'm missing? Am I looking at emerging trends? So technology is a massive one to look for there. Am I staying ahead of the game, and am I giving my clients what I think they're going to need in a month's time, in 2 months' time, in 6 months' time, which through this period has been so difficult, because nobody knows what's going on. Who would have said that a year down the line we're still in this position?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, I thought we would have been done and dusted by summer, to be honest with you, last year. but it looks as though it's kind of like heading into summer this year, you know. But yeah, I think that's absolutely brilliant tips, Claire. Thank you so much. Like with the technology, we do have to change along with people, and it's difficult to kind of adapt, especially when you're forced into it. But I guess sometimes that's a little bit better than, you know, just kind of, I know myself, I delay things. You know, you think, well, you're going to do it, I'm busy, and then all of a sudden this happens, bang, and you're like, oh wow, right, I actually have to do it now. I have to drop everything and actually change. So that's just absolutely brilliant tips. So anybody listening, you know, I hope that really helps them with those kind of like little tips and things that you've just given there. Thank you for that. Yeah. And then how have you found it then? Like, because it's essentially like a COVID business, I don't really want to call it that, but it's just at a time when that came in. So how have you had to adapt your own business then? Like, you know, because you do copywriting and everything as well, and social media. So then how have you had to adapt your own business, sort of like on social media and things like that as well? So
Yeah, so I started being really sensitive to things. As I said, it was a time that I really wanted to make sure that what I did landed correctly with everybody. So I started looking at writing articles and blogs and things like that I thought might help people going forward. So I looked at things like how to engage a remote workforce and gave some hints and tips on that. Things like, you know, how to make sure that you were talking to your colleagues in the right way. I did quite a lot of research with friends and other colleagues and my network, and asked them, actually, what's your business doing? How are you being communicated with? Is it okay? Do you want more? Do you want less? That kind of thing. So I did quite a lot of that and kind of threw it back out there to everybody in hopefully a really easy to understand way, so that they could then translate that and help with their own businesses. And for me then, I mean, my social media has taken a little bit of a pause because of having my baby. So yeah, I've got a lot to do. As soon as I get back into things properly, I've got a lot to do on that. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's about being sensitive. It's about making sure that your content is relevant. It's about being engaging as well, because engagement is so important as we recover from this and as we come out of that change curve and out of, you know, hopefully out of COVID situation into, you know, what everybody's calling the new normal. Things will change and they'll continually change because businesses are adapting and they're having to do it fast. So things will change. So keep ahead of that game, and you know what, check out your competitors, see what they're doing. Absolutely, it's a really key thing. You must be in the same arena. You don't want to get left behind.
see, I always thought that last tip that you said about check out your competitors, I always thought almost it's kind of like being nosy, like just checking out what they do. And I always felt a little bit uncomfortable doing that, but that's not so, right? You should do that.
Absolutely. I guarantee they'll be doing the same thing to you. So why not do it back?
Wow, I'm shocked at that. And everybody knows that social media isn't my thing, so I'm like really pushing myself. So actually hearing that, I'm like, okay, wow. So people are going to be watching thinking, you know, even if social media isn't your thing, just get on there and you know, and just listen to the tips that you've just given as well. And that's how you yourself, who, you know, you do copywriting, social media and communications, you yourself have had to change your business to kind of adapt to other people. And then would you then, so if anybody listening then, like with how you've adapted and changed your business, would you then give those same tips then onto anybody watching?
Yeah, I mean, every business is different. So, you know, if I was to give one piece of advice, if you were kind of starting your own business, I would say try not to do it in a global pandemic. That would kind of be your first point. I mean, to be fair, it worked for me. Communication undoubtedly has been one of the biggest winners out of COVID. It's a key priority for everybody, whether you're communicating with family, friends, other businesses, clients, customers, whatever it might be. communication has been at the forefront of everything we do. Comms teams have never been so important in companies. So for me, it was great. For other people, you know, it might not work so well if you were wanting to start up a restaurant, for example. So definitely think about the timing of when you do things. And you know what? If things change, be adaptable, be resilient, adapt quickly to what is happening, and hopefully you'll then see that through as well. And I mean, I had to actually change my business plan twice. So I changed what I was doing when COVID hit, and then found out a few months later that I was pregnant, which is amazing, and had to change it again because, you know, how was I going to run a business and be a mum at the same time? And you know, being self-employed, you don't have the luxury of mat leave. So it was something that I was really aware of and conscious of, and wanted to still be able to contribute to my family. So it was important for me to be flexible enough to, you know, keep up with the demands of my son's needs, and be able to spend time with him and watch him grow, but also still be able to contribute to my family life as well. So I had to really change it quite a lot, and it was hard and it was scary, but the determination and the drive for me was that it was to make my life work on both levels, and that's what saw me through it, I guess.
So you can do it all, and you can have it all, even if you are, you know, a new mum, basically. You know, you can have your business, you know, you can work, you can be a new mum. You're like Wonder Woman.
I don't know about that.
Superwoman.
I don't know about that.
Superwoman rolled into one.
It's hard work. It is hard work, and it's only with the support of my family, and particularly my husband. You know, I'm blessed enough to have an amazing husband who really encourages me and wants me to succeed. So, you know, he's great and he really helps me out. You know, we might tag team at the office at 5 o'clock. He'll come out and I'll go in. But you know, it's working for the moment, and I really am privileged, let's say, to be able to do both at the moment. Definitely. And having setting my own workload and being able to choose when I work and when I don't work has been invaluable. So yeah, I don't get the traditional 9 months or a year off and have to go back to work, but similarly this is a pattern that continued for me until my child goes to school. So you know, I'm really lucky in that sense as well. So difficult but great at the same time.
Yeah. So starting your business was a win-win for you, which is awesome, which is good to hear.
Yeah.
So anybody watching this, in terms of kind of social media actual tips you would give them, because I know you've done certain things in your own business, if it's anybody else was to be watching, or is watching I should say, what kind of particular tips would you give them?
Yeah, so I think with social media, there is no end of information out there. If you look online, there's so much going on. It's in everybody's life all the time, and it's busy. It's busy. News feeds are constantly being updated. There's so many different platforms. You know, which app do you go to first, that kind of thing. So I think as a follower, you are really quite particular nowadays about what you want to see. So for me, the biggest thing that I can advise anybody to do is to plan. So make sure you have a robust social media plan and strategy, if you can do that, to make sure that it fits in with your other business objectives and where you want to go. You want to make it work for you. It shouldn't be a chore. It shouldn't be something that, you know, you think, actually, do you know what, I haven't posted anything for ages and I really need to do that. And you know, it should just be integrated into your communications plan. So that will identify all your key messages. That'll tell you exactly what you need to be pushing out and when. It will allow you, as I've said, to coordinate with your other communications. So whether that be to your staff or to your shareholders, or you know, any other stakeholders that have an interest in your business. And it allows you as well to have time to really be creative in your approach then, because you're not worrying about what content we're putting out this week. You've got it, it's there, it's already written into your kind of calendar, let's say. So being creative with your content will win you followers. So make sure that you're telling a compelling story, your business, your brand.
So with the social media side of things then, Claire, so for anybody watching, what kind of advice and tips would you give them?
So social media is such a big thing, and everybody places quite a big emphasis on it. You know yourself, probably you go, which app do I choose? There's so many social media platforms nowadays. News feeds are constantly being updated. You might miss one thing and it's gone and you don't see it again. So there's so much to think about. So in terms of content, it's really important that you get it right. It should be something that is integrated into your business, into your communications plan, so it works for you and your business plan and your objectives. It shouldn't be a chore for anybody. It should just work for you. So the biggest kind of piece of advice I'd give is to plan. Make sure that your messages are written out into your plan, that it's coordinated with other communications, whether that be staff communication. I mean, those two should go hand in hand anyway if you're going out externally, but make sure that it's something that your users want to see and read about. So make sure that your content is compelling. It's a story. It should be the story of your business. Everybody has one, but by planning that and creating a calendar as such, you will have time to be creative and make sure that it is what you want it to be. So get your messages right. Make sure as well in your plan that you've got a mix of content. You don't want to be pushing out the same types all the time. So make sure there's a mix. Make sure that you are, you have a variety of subjects and topics as well to talk about. And I guess make it attractive, make it relevant to your followers, and timely, absolutely timely. You don't want to be talking about something that everybody else was talking about last week. It just won't work. So make sure it's timely, and visual as well. Great imagery, whether it's something you've taken yourself or something that you can take from somewhere else, but make sure that you think about what that is doing and what that means for your brand as well. It's really important that you kind of have a voice and have a tone that you're happy with. And I think as well, two more really important things. Collaborate is really, really important. So if you're working with other companies, get them in there. Your message will be stronger, and also go out to their network as well. So make sure that you collaborate and share things as well. If you share somebody that or somebody that you work with, you share their social, they will probably share it back as well. So make sure that you do that, and then analyze everything you do. Check it. So are the types of posts you're putting out there working for you? Is there a certain type of thing that's getting more traction than something else? If there is, use it, go for it, keep doing those things that work, that then that you're getting it right. Look at interactions. So are you getting engagement from your followers? Are they commenting? Are they liking? Are they sharing? That kind of thing. That's really important as well, to be able to know that you're hitting the right note. And again, analyze your competition. Go out there, check their platforms out, see what they're doing, what's working for them, because 9 times out of 10 your followers are going to be their followers. So see what's working, and how you can make your content better than theirs, which is obviously where everybody's aiming to be. So hopefully that'll give you a little bit of a gist of what to kind of look out for. I mean, there's plenty more I could talk about, but hopefully that's just a kind of key thing to look for there.
That's absolutely brilliant advice, Claire. Thank you so much for that. And I'm sure anybody watching this will really appreciate that advice, because especially if you're like me and you don't have a Scooby about social media, so some really good tips. So then with the social media side of things, like you've explained all the tips and things like for that, but then it also depends on how do you engage people in terms of what's written, because I guess you could do a video on social media, but then when you're writing things, how and what do you write? Because you do copywriting. So how would you then integrate that into social media, or anybody writing social media, or I don't know, their website or something like that, or a blog? What kind of thing would you say as a copywriter, or what tips would you give as a copywriter then to kind of have that going hand in hand with those kind of things?
Yeah, so with copywriting, I mean, everybody has their own style. I've spent all my career corporate copywriting. I like to do a little bit of creative writing myself outside of that, but yeah, with corporate writing and social media, I guess you want it, going back to that kind of point, you want it to be compelling, you want it to tell your story and flow and be easy for the reader to engage with and understand. So you want to make sure it's clear, you want certainly to make sure it's concise, particularly on social media and things like Twitter where you've got a character count, and relevant. Absolutely key. Get your content relevant. It must be, otherwise you'll flick past it, and actually what 9 times out of 10 will then happen, you'll get an unfollow, because people don't want to see certain things. And if they've, I mean, I'm the same with it really, personally, on my social media. So if I see something 2 or 3 times and I'm like, no, don't need to see it, I'll unfollow, and I'll just like that, I'll go. And that does happen, and you will pick followers up and you will lose followers. It's a natural thing. But if you make it that relevant content that tells that story and it really engages people in wanting to see your content, you open an app and you think, I really want to see what this business is doing next. I'm on LinkedIn and I want to know, what is that company doing now? That story will help that to happen. And kind of call to action, I guess. So, get people engaged, ask those questions, ask people to comment on their own experiences. You want to create that two-way engagement. It shouldn't just be a push. It should be two-way, and getting feedback as well. So I think with anything really that stands, not just social media, whether it be your website, whether it be communications that you're sending out to your customers, it has to be relevant, it has to be concise, clear, absolutely, and engaging.
Well, that's absolutely just brilliant tips, Claire. Thank you so much. So and it really does, and it's kind of bizarre to think, like, I would never think this, that the copywriting side of things and social media side of things would actually go hand in hand. So it's nice to hear from the horse's mouth, as they say, that you have all this experience in corporate writing, you know how to do the social media and things, and you've given tips on how to do both of them. So anybody listening, will hopefully be able to kind of go away and, give them a starter, I guess, in what to do and kind of how to start their social media. First of all, plan it, have a planner, get an old pen and paper, and good old pen and paper, start planning, and just on how you write it then as well, you need to tackle that. And absolutely brilliant tips. Thank you so much for that, Claire.
You're more than welcome.
And I think you're a great inspiration, because you've done so much in a year. It's just unbelievable. Like, whereas there's people who have used kind of like lockdowns and things just to binge on Netflix or any other movies or anything. I did that for about 2 weeks, but I stopped because I was boring myself just watching. I was like, really? Everybody has the same 24 hours. Let's make them count, right?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Don't get me wrong, I have watched a little bit of Netflix.
It's good to chill out and watch a little bit, but yeah, some people have been doing it a lot in lockdown. But it's good, you've gone and you've started your business, you started a new business, you've gone through a whole pregnancy, had a baby, and you've not even taken full maternity leave, and you're back working again. And you're on here doing, interviews and things like that, and giving everybody out there great tips. So you're still there helping people, and it's just absolutely brilliant. So thank you so much for joining us. And I just want to ask you one ultimate question. To me, you're a superhero. So, but if you were a superhero and you could be any superhero, what would you be and why?
Okay, so this is a difficult question. I will hold my hands up. I am not a massive superhero fan, so I actually don't know that many superheroes. So I know. I must be the only person ever not to have watched the kind of is it Marvel? I'm not sure, but anyway. So I think I would have to create my own. So it would be a woman, and she wouldn't wear a suit or a cape necessarily. She would have ordinary clothes on. You can probably see where I'm going with this. She would be strong and resilient and determined, and I guess kind of the best that she can be in everything. So she'd be the best daughter, she'd be the best wife, the best mum, the best friend, the best colleague, the best employee, and she would be really adaptable as well, and I guess a name would, I'm going back to what you said earlier actually about Wonder Woman, but I'd adapt that. I think I'd adapt it, and I'd be the wonderful woman instead of the Wonder Woman. And I think it's hard, isn't it? I think for me it's not about superpower. I think for me generally what drives me is just to be the best I can be, you know, whether that's a support, whether that's, you know, advice, whether that's friendship, whatever that might be. I just want to be the best I can be. So that's kind of, I think, where my head would go with that.
With superhero. Oh, excellent. Thank you so much. Do you know, it's been absolutely brilliant that you've taken time. I'm really privileged to have you on and give everybody your tips. I know you're like super busy and you probably just want to sleep right now as well. So thank you so much for coming on and helping everybody. And do you want to just kind of give everybody your details if anybody wants to contact you?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And firstly, it's been an absolute pleasure to do it with you. Thank you so much for having me on today. But my details, yeah, so website is www.thecomsloop.com, and my email is just Claire, CLAIRE @thecomsloop.com. Yeah, all my details are online, so feel free to get in touch. And if I can help anybody, of course I will.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Claire. That's awesome. Have a great day. Thank you.